or to this court. However, the attorneys may enter into stipulations of fact. These stipulations become part of the evidence and are to be considered by you as such. Opening statement for the state.
Thank you.
Ms. King.
On June 8, 2017, the defendant, Lynlee Renick, shot her husband, Ben, 8 times, killing him. But that wasn't the first time she tried to kill Ben Renick. So back in 2017, let me give you a little background about what's going on. Ben Renick is a world-renowned snake breeder, and he has this facility in Montgomery County, which is about 45 minutes to an hour from here. He has this facility with literally thousands of snakes. That also sits on the property where their home is. There's some acreage out there. So he's a world-renowned snake breeder. Lynlee is running a spa here in Columbia, and that was her dream, was to run a day spa. She's been running this spa, it's been open about a year or so, and it's not doing well. For whatever reason. Either she doesn't have enough customers or she can't manage the money, but for whatever reason, this spa is losing money. And the Renicks are paying out of their pocket to keep this business going, right? So Ben and Lynlee are arguing over it. And Ben is saying, you gotta do something. He's trying to help her do the books, things of that nature, because she doesn't manage the money very well. And ultimately, he gives her a few months and says, if it doesn't turn a profit in a few months, we're gonna have to sell it. Lynlee is also having an affair with an individual named Eric Bremer. And that affair consists of the two of them having sex at the day spa. So Lynlee, who's also the sole beneficiary of the $1 million life insurance policy on Ben Renick, decides she's going to kill him. And she can't divorce him because Ben controls the money, and Ben has the money. And she thinks if she tries to divorce him, that he's going to keep her kids from her. So she doesn't want a divorce, she's going to kill him. And she enlists the help of a co-worker employee, Ashley Shaw. So her and Ashley come up with this plan to poison him. And the plan is that Lynlee is going to blend up some pills in a protein shake. She's going to give it to Ben and tell Ben that a customer had brought this protein shake in for her to try. And so she's going to offer it to him to try this new protein shake. So Ashley does some research. She goes online to find out how many pills it takes to kill somebody. She actually gets 15 Percocet and gives them to Lynlee. Lynlee blends them up, puts them in the shake, gives it to Ben. Now Ben gets violently ill, but it doesn't kill him. So now she goes to plan B, and she realizes that the poison didn't work, so she's got to find somebody to shoot him. So again, she and Ashley come up with this plan. Now Lynlee has an ex-boyfriend that she hasn't seen in 6-7 years. They haven't had contact with one another in years. And his name is Michael Humphrey. So she decides she's going to go to Michael Humphrey to assist her in this homicide. And Michael Humphrey, at least at one point, was installed stereo equipment for vehicles. So the story they come up with, Ashley and Lynlee, is that Ashley's looking for some stereo equipment to be installed, and that's why they're approaching Michael Humphrey after having not seen him for 6-7 years. So they track him down, show up at his house, out of the blue, give him this story about the stereo equipment, and then Lynlee tells him that she tried to kill her husband and failed. And she gives him some story about how Ben is abusive and so on and so forth, and he says, well, why don't you divorce him? I can't divorce him because he'll take the kids, I've got to kill him. And Michael Humphrey doesn't agree to kill him, but he does later provide her the gun that she uses to kill him. So, about a week or so later, Michael Humphrey comes up to the spa for a massage and brings the gun with him. And they're working on this plan to kill Ben. So he brings her the gun, and Ashley and Lynlee are working on this plan together. And Thursday, June 8th, Lynlee and Ben have a date night. They're going to go see the Wonder Woman movie at the theater. So she tells him she's not feeling well, and she's supposed to pick up the kids from school. So he sends her a text message, are you still good to pick up the kids from school? She says, no, you're gonna have to go get them. Well, she does this because she knows he's gonna be dead, and then the school's gonna call and say nobody picked up the kids, right? So Ashley's part in this is Ashley's going to stay at the spa where Lynlee leaves her phone, so it can't be traced to Montgomery County. Ashley's gonna stay at the spa, and she's gonna send messages from Lynlee's phone, so it looks like Lynlee is still at the spa, and she does that. And on June 8th, Michael Humphrey shows up to the spa. He picks up Lynlee. They go to Montgomery County. She's already told him he has to pick up the kids. They go to Montgomery County. They show up at the snake facility, and Ben is walking out, taking some trash out or something. Lynlee introduces Michael Humphrey and says he's interested in snakes or wants to buy a snake, something along those lines. Introduces Michael Humphrey. Ben goes back to the back of this facility. Lynlee follows him and shoots him 8 times. At least 4 of those shots are in the back. She gets in the car with Michael Humphrey. She leaves. They go back to Columbia. Michael Humphrey takes her back to the spa when he picked her up, and he goes home. She sends him text messages. I hope you got home okay. Come in tomorrow for another massage. After this is all done, then she heads back to Montgomery County because now the school has called and somebody's got to pick up her children. She knows her husband is dead. She cancels the babysitter, saying, I'm running a little bit late. First she says, I'm running a little bit late. Can you come at 5:45 instead of 5:30? Then she calls and cancels the babysitter altogether. She goes to the school, picks up her 2 children, and drives them back to the place where she knows she is going to find their father's dead body, because she killed him. At the same time, she's sending text messages to her boyfriend on her way back. Now, she doesn't take the kids inside the facility. She goes in, and obviously Ben's body is on the floor. He's deceased, and she calls 911. The police come. They do their investigation. They're interviewing, obviously, Lynlee Renick. They interview Ashley Shaw. And at one point, when they're talking to Lynlee, Devin Faust, who's one of the troopers, is looking through her phone. She lets him look through her phone. He's looking through, and he sees an individual, Mike H. And he noticed that there's been some text messages sent on the day of the murder. And so he asks Ms. Renick, who's Mike H? Oh, that's Michael Humphrey. Who's Michael Humphrey? Oh, I used to do some work on his mom, gave her massages when I was working in Jet City, something along those lines. Then she changes her story to he had reached out and just wanted a massage because he heard ads about her spa on the radio. And then ultimately we find out it's an ex-boyfriend that she hasn't seen in 7 years until she goes to solicit him as a hitman, right? So after that happens, Lynlee tells Ashley Shaw that they found out about Michael Humphrey. So Ashley Shaw calls Michael Humphrey and says, hey, the police are probably going to be giving you a call. Make sure you keep your mouth shut. And he does. By and large, Ashley Shaw and Michael Humphrey don't really give any useful information. And the case kind of goes cold. For about 2.5 years, the police have their suspicions, but they don't have the evidence to prove that Lynlee Renick killed her husband. So that's in 2017. Then in the beginning of 2020, the police get a lead. They get some information that Lynlee Renick is the shooter, and here's what happened. So they go back and they talk to Ashley Shaw again. Now you're going to hear from Ashley Shaw, and you're not going to like Ashley Shaw. Ashley Shaw did some horrible things. She was completely complicit in this murder, but Ashley Shaw was the first one to talk, so Ashley Shaw got immunity. And she's going to come in and testify, and she's going to tell you what happened. But it was when they talked to Ashley Shaw that they found out, oh, those text messages where Ben says he's violently ill, he's not just sick, that's where his wife tried to poison him. And she tells him how when Michael Humphrey picked her up from the spa on the day of the murder, he didn't fill up his car with gas. And Lynlee was mad that he didn't put gas in his car, so she had to stop and get gas. Well, they find the receipt from her credit card corroborating what Ashley Shaw tells them. And once they find out that Ashley Shaw is telling the truth, now they've got a case against Lynlee Renick. So she's going to testify. She'll tell you everything I just told you. And then a couple of weeks ago, Michael Humphrey decides he wants to cooperate. And I don't suspect you're going to like Michael Humphrey either, because he's also complicit in this murder. Michael Humphrey is going to testify and tell you what happened. In exchange for that, instead of a life sentence without parole, he's going to be convicted of murder in the second degree and serve a life sentence with parole. But when the police went and talked to him, lo and behold, 4 years after the homicide, he turns over the gun. He tells them what happens. It's the same thing that Ashley Shaw told him happened, and he still has the gun. He lets the police go in, retrieve the gun, send it to the crime lab. The crime lab confirms it is in fact the murder weapon that Lynlee Renick used on June 8, 2017. That's the evidence you're going to hear today, ladies and gentlemen. At the close of that evidence, we're going to come back and ask you to find her guilty of murder in the first degree and armed criminal action.